Hi, today we're in Paris and we're investigating if there's a critical mass overlapping between the Row and Uniqlo. So one funny thing about Uniqlo is that it feels like you're at IKEA, but it's for clothes. And it really feels like it. Everybody's very nice. There are a lot of people. There are too many people. You have options, but actually you don't have so many options. It just looks like it because everything is so well styled. And you just have a lot of sizes, multiple times, in thousands everywhere. You even have the same clothes in the women's and menswear section, which probably is good, but also kind of distracting because you assume it's something new, but then it's not. So overall, you're having a great time because it feels a bit like you're a child and at IKEA and you're not supposed to shop, but at the very end, you're still shopping. The clothes overall seemed interesting. The silhouettes were amazing and extremely surprising. You have these wide shapes that Uniqlo is famous for, that we see at Le Maire oftentimes. And it's kind of even nice that it's a bit downgraded, maybe a bit reduced in a different way at Uniqlo U. It feels a bit more wearable and less extreme if you want to go for the sophisticated, oversized silhouette, but you also just want to do groceries and not feel so bohem sometimes. So I really like the silhouettes. Coming to the fabrics, you should be aware that most of the pieces are either made in China or Vietnam. So I would say they probably didn't choose the best factories of these countries because you can produce in amazing quality in these countries. But Uniqlo probably didn't tend to do that because the t-shirts were $14.90 and the pants were either 40 or 50 euros. So you kind of felt that. One top that I wanted to buy even had a thread hanging out, and it really felt like, yeah, it was polyester. It didn't really feel like cotton. It was not cotton. Well, it said it's cotton, but the thread was not cotton, I believe, because it was very reflective and shiny. I don't know, maybe it was a Frankenstein version of a cotton thread, but I didn't really recognize what it was. And then I wanted to exchange it, but it didn't work. But it was also 15 euros. I don't know what you can get at the Row for 15 euros. So I tried on everything I liked. The pants were a bit too thin for me, but also they were 50 euros. So I don't know how much you can expect. The silhouette was still very interesting. They have a coat that will probably go viral soon for 100 euros, and it has a beautiful silhouette. Overall, I have to say, It was very impressive. And I'm really curious, and it's really interesting that Uniqlo feels so inclusive when you go there. There's so many people. All the people shopping there look so different. They're old, young, funky, not funky, boring, or they look like me. And they all shop at the same place, and it feels cozy there. And I feel like the row, even though they sell maybe a similar silhouette or a similar aesthetic, makes everything to make you feel less inclusive. So we're gonna find out. By the way, they were very friendly in the closet, so I'm really curious how it's going to be at the row when I try on 10 pieces. So right now we are in front of one of the biggest luxury department stores in Paris. I don't want to name it, but you might be aware what it is. I don't know if it was smart to go there with a huge Uniqlo bag, and if that shows that I'm slightly biased in this video. I'm absolutely not, but I don't think the row really perceives Uniqlo as competition as much as I see it as a competition. So they will not care. I tried to be the row appropriate today, so I applied a bit makeup, but not too much. Like, I think what the row wants is that you're not ugly, but you need to be natural. And that's really hard. So I tried to just use a tiny bit of makeup and not be so ugly and adapt a bit to this aesthetic of being natural, but you're not so natural, actually. Should I hide it? I entered the most luxurious and prestigious luxury shop-in-shop that you can imagine in a department store. It is the Row. It is exactly as you believe it is. It is very 90s, it's very minimal, very streamlined, and it feels good. Yes, everything I touched there, I touched a lot of things, everything felt prestigious, felt like it was too much for me, felt like I didn't deserve it. We should not be there. We're not the people that are supposed to be there. I didn't check the prices, I was scared. I just checked the sizing a tiny bit, but I was even scared to ask for my sizes. And it's not because they were unfriendly. I was just too scared. I created one look. Unfortunately, I couldn't create a black look, so it's a good comparison to the Uniqlo look, which I was expecting from a brand like The Row to have a complete black look. They didn't have it, so I had to go for white, because it's the next natural color that I can compare it with. I took their probably most famous white t-shirt. I don't know why it's famous, but when I tried it on, I figured why it's so precious. Then I tried on something that looked like a white jean, but it's actually linen, and it was a low waist. That was the reason I picked it. And then I had something like a safari jacket on top of it with a fabric that is actually pretty similar to the coat that I tried on at Uniqlo, that has a bit of this crinkled Probably at Uniqlo polyester. Here it was probably the better viscose rather mixed with cotton or something. Didn't check that either. It was not at all about where the stuff is produced. It was really about how it feels. So I tried on the whole look. I felt amazing. I felt like myself, but like in a very clean way. And then I figured I feel a bit too clean. I wouldn't usually style it the way I styled it this way. And then I figured the Rose probably is styled brand, because everything only looks good if you style it together with something else. Because the single items, I don't know, but that jacket was 4,000 euros. That's something I found out later. And I think I would have had a different feeling about it when I would have known the prices before. The pieces are great. The pieces look good, but they are not worth their price. They look very minimal. You can find all of these items at every other luxury brand that is using amazing fabrics and has kind of a minimal appeal. I'm sure I could have created this look at Max Mara, and to be honest, this specific look felt very Max Mara to me, and I felt like I was supposed to have a stroll at Saint-Tropez or somewhere. I don't know. I think the row is really for the people that have a tendency for good style. I'm not going to deny it. I think the silhouettes are great. Most of them, there are also a lot of very boring cuts, but I do think you have to wear it because you want to be a bit more special. I think nobody can deny that. Like, let's all be okay that 800 euro flip-flops are flip-flops. That's what they do. They're thongs. It's something between your toes. And usually toes, no. You do it because they have this red thing around and makes it look like the row. And yes, we all buy luxury brands. It's nothing new. But the row is a tiny bit more into this if you know game. And it's okay, everybody can coexist, but I think we know who won here.